Traffic Safety Administration is now investigating the cause of the engine problems for trucks made between 2021 and 2024.
You know what's worse than spending $40,000 or $50,000 on a brand new pickup truck? Spending that money and then watching the thing fall apart in your driveway while the value drops faster than a rock off a cliff. Right now, according to Consumer Reports data and real-world sales numbers, there are 7 pickup trucks that buyers are actively avoiding, and for good reason. These aren't just vehicles that underperformed expectations. These are trucks with serious reliability problems, expensive repair bills, and resale values that make you want to cry. Some of these were supposed to be game changers. Others were luxury experiments that crashed and burned. And a few are brand new models that already have owners filing complaints and heading back to the dealership with check engine lights blazing. If you're in the market for a truck, whether new or used, you need to know about these before you sign anything. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Tell me, what pickup truck are you driving right now, and what's the biggest problem you're dealing with? Is it electrical issues, transmission troubles, or something else entirely? I read every single comment because your real-world experience helps other viewers make better decisions. Alright, let's get into it. Starting from bad and working our way down to the absolute worst. Number 7. Cadillac Escalade EXT 2002-2013. The Cadillac Escalade EXT is one of those vehicles that sounds great on paper but falls apart when you actually have to live with it. Cadillac took their luxury SUV, the Escalade, and tried to turn it into a pickup truck. What they created was this weird hybrid that couldn't decide if it wanted to be a work vehicle or a country club cruiser. When it first launched in 2002, there was genuine excitement. People bought into the idea of a luxury pickup. Sales hit over 14,000 units in 2003. But by 2013, when Cadillac finally pulled the plug, they were only moving fewer than 2,000 units a year. That's a massive collapse, and it tells you everything you need to know about how the market felt about this truck. Let's talk about what actually went wrong with these things. The first generation, from 2002 to 2006, came with a 6.0-liter V8 engine. Now that sounds impressive, but the reality is that engine and transmission combo was barely adequate for the weight of this beast. The Escalade EXT is heavy, really heavy, and pushing all that mass around puts serious stress on the drivetrain. Transmission failures before hitting 100,000 miles were not uncommon. We're talking about a luxury vehicle where owners were facing $3,000 to $5,000 transmission rebuilds well before the truck should have needed that kind of work. The second generation got a bigger 6. 2-liter engine, which helped with power, but Cadillac introduced cylinder deactivation technology to try and save fuel. In theory, the system shuts down half the cylinders when you don't need full power, improving gas mileage. In practice, it led to collapsed lifters, which caused misfires and even camshaft damage. When that happens, you're not talking about a quick fix. You're looking at tearing the engine apart, and that repair bill can easily hit $5,000 or more. Then there's the electronics nightmare. Cadillac loaded the EXT with every gadget they could think of. Power running boards that extend when you open the door, advanced navigation systems, complex climate controls, all of it interconnected through computers that were not reliable. Owners reported navigation systems that would glitch and freeze, power running boards that stopped working or got stuck halfway out, and door handles that literally broke off in your hand. For a truck that cost $60,000 or more when new, that's unacceptable. The final nail in the coffin came in 2008 when gas prices spiked and the recession hit. Suddenly, people weren't interested in a luxury pickup that got maybe 12 miles per gallon in the city. The market for a vehicle with limited cargo capacity, questionable reliability, and massive running costs just evaporated. Today, if you see an Escalade EXT on the road, it's either owned by someone who refuses to let it go, or it's sitting in a driveway with mechanical problems the owner can't afford to fix. Number 6. Lincoln Mark LT 2006-2008. Lincoln has tried multiple times to crack the luxury pickup market, and they've failed every single time. The Mark LT is Exhibit A. This truck came out in 2006 as Lincoln's answer to the Cadillac Escalade EXT. Ford basically took an F-150, dressed it up with leather and chrome, slapped a Lincoln badge on it, and charged a premium. Sales started okay, hitting about 12,753 units in 2006. But by 2008, that number had collapsed to just 4,631 trucks. After only 3 model years, Lincoln pulled it from the US market entirely. That's how badly it bombed. The Mark LT's biggest problem was that it shared all the mechanical issues of the 2004 to 2006 Ford F-150, which were well documented and widespread. Under the hood was the 5.4-liter Triton V8, and this engine has become infamous among truck owners for a couple of specific nightmares. First, there's the cam phaser issue. Cam phasers are part of the variable valve timing system, and when they start to fail, they make this loud ticking or rattling noise, especially on cold starts. It sounds like someone shaking a can of bolts under your hood. The repair involves tearing into the engine and replacing the phasers, and you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 minimum. But the real horror story with the 5.4 Triton is the spark plugs. Ford used a 2-piece spark plug design in these engines, and over time, carbon buildup would cause the plugs to seize in the cylinder head. When a mechanic tried to remove them during routine maintenance, the plug would snap, leaving part of it lodged in the head. Extracting a broken spark plug requires special tools and a lot of time, and some shops were charging $500 or more per plug. It was an F-150 with nicer leather and some extra chrome. Ford themselves seemed to realize this, because they replaced the Mark LT with the F-150 Platinum trim, which gave you the same luxury features without the Lincoln badge and the inflated price tag. Interestingly, the Mark LT kept selling in Mexico through 2014, where it found a more receptive market. But in the US, it's remembered as one of Lincoln's biggest mistakes, right up there with the Blackwood that came before it. Number 5. Suzuki Equator 2009-2012. The Suzuki Equator is the perfect example of what happens when a dying brand makes a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Suzuki was already struggling in the US market by the late 2000s. Their cars weren't selling, their dealer network was shrinking, and they needed something, anything, to keep their name alive. So they made a deal with Nissan to rebadge the Frontier pickup and sell it as the Suzuki Equator. On paper, it made sense. In reality, it was a disaster. Suzuki projected they'd sell 5,000 or more Equators every year. That was wildly optimistic. In the entire run from 2009 to 2012, Suzuki sold a grand total of about 5,808 Equators in the United States. That's not per year, that's total. They were averaging around 2,000 trucks per year, and even that's being generous. The problem was obvious to anyone paying attention. Why would you buy a Suzuki Equator when you could buy the mechanically identical Nissan Frontier from a dealer network 10 times larger with better parts availability and service support? The Equator inherited all of Nissan's reliability issues from that generation of Frontier. We're talking about transmission problems, timing chain issues, and rear differential failures. But unlike Frontier owners, Equator buyers had a much harder time getting parts and finding mechanics willing to work on what was essentially an orphan vehicle. When Suzuki announced they were exiting the US market entirely in 2012, Equator owners were left holding the bag. Good luck finding a Suzuki dealership for warranty work or recalls when the entire brand has left the country. Today, the Equator is one of the rarest modern trucks on American roads, and not in a good way. It's not rare because it's collectible or valuable. It's rare because almost nobody bought one in the first place, and the few that were sold have either been scrapped or are sitting in driveways as parts donors. If you ever come across a Suzuki Equator for sale, run the other direction. The truck itself wasn't terrible, but the complete lack of support and parts availability makes it a nightmare to own. Number 4. Mitsubishi Raider 2006-2009. Mitsubishi's attempt to break back into the pickup market with the Raider was an absolute train wreck from start to finish. This truck was a rebadged Dodge Dakota, built on the same platform with the same engines. By 2009, sales had collapsed to just 1,946 trucks. And then in 2010, Mitsubishi sold exactly 9 Raiders. Yes, you read that right. Single digits. 9 trucks in an entire year as dealers desperately tried to clear out the last of their inventory. By any measure, that's a complete and utter failure. The Raider had real problems beyond just poor sales. The 2006 models with manual transmissions were recalled for a faulty clutch interlock switch. This switch is supposed to prevent the truck from starting unless the clutch pedal is fully pressed. When it failed, the truck could start while in gear without the clutch being engaged, which meant the vehicle could lurch forward unexpectedly. That's a dangerous defect that could easily cause an accident. Owners had to take their trucks to the dealer for repairs, assuming they could find a Mitsubishi dealer that actually had a service department capable of handling it. The bigger issue was that nobody knew Mitsubishi made trucks, and nobody cared. Mitsubishi's brand image in the US was already weak, their dealer network was tiny, and truck buyers are generally loyal to established names like Ford, Chevy, and Toyota. Asking someone to take a chance on a Mitsubishi pickup with zero track record and questionable resale value was a losing proposition. The Raider lasted just 4 model years before Mitsubishi quietly discontinued it and pretended it never happened. Number 3. Jeep Gladiator 2020-2021. Now we're getting into more recent territory, and this one might surprise you. The Jeep Gladiator should have been a guaranteed success. Take the massively popular Wrangler, add a pickup bed, and you've got a vehicle that combines off-road capability with truck utility. Jeep fans had been asking for a Wrangler-based pickup for decades. When it finally arrived in 2020, there was genuine excitement. But the early models have been plagued with problems that landed the Gladiator near the bottom of Consumer Reports' reliability rankings for mid-size trucks. The biggest issue is the steering and suspension. Many Gladiator owners reported persistent steering wander, where the truck feels loose and unstable on the highway. You're constantly making small corrections to keep it in the lane, which gets exhausting on long drives. But worse than that is the infamous death wobble. This is violent front-end shaking that happens at highway speeds, usually triggered by hitting a bump or pothole. The entire front of the truck shakes so hard it feels like it's going to fall apart. It's terrifying when it happens, and it's dangerous. Jeep issued technical service bulletins and recommended replacing the steering damper, but many owners reported the problem persisted even after the fix. Water leaks are another common complaint. The Gladiator has removable roof panels and a folding soft top, just like the Wrangler. That's great for open-air driving, but those seals are prone to leaking. Owners reported water dripping into the cabin during rain, soaking the seats and carpet. In some cases, water got into the electronics, causing all sorts of gremlins. Random check engine lights, backup cameras that stop working, infotainment systems that freeze or reboot while driving. Jeep sold about 77,000 Gladiators in 2021, so it's not a complete sales disaster like some others on this list. But it remains a niche vehicle that mainstream truck buyers approach with serious caution. The off-road capability is real, and if you're someone who actually uses that, the Gladiator might make sense. But as a daily driver or work truck, it's got too many issues and costs too much money for what you get. Number 2. Nissan Frontier 2005, 2008, and 2022. Nissan's Frontier makes this list twice, and that tells you everything about Nissan's struggles in the truck market. The late first-generation models from 2005 to 2008 were known for serious reliability problems. The 4.0-liter V6 engine had timing chain issues. The chains would stretch over time, causing rattling noises and eventually skipping teeth, which could lead to catastrophic engine damage. The fix required tearing the engine apart and replacing the timing chain, guides, and tensioners, costing thousands of dollars. The automatic transmission in those years also had a reputation for failure. Nissan used a specific transmission that was known for overheating and losing gears. Many owners reported the transmission slipping, especially under heavy loads or when towing. A rebuild or replacement could easily cost $4,000 to $5,000. The rear differential was another weak point, with some owners experiencing complete failures that left them stranded. Fast forward to 2022, and Nissan finally redesigned the Frontier after running the same basic truck for nearly 2 decades. You'd think a clean sheet redesign would fix the problems. Instead, it introduced new ones. Early 2022 Frontiers had transmission issues right out of the gate. Owners reported harsh shifting, shuddering during acceleration, and even complete transmission failures in trucks with fewer than 10,000 miles. Nissan issued software updates to try and address the problems, but many owners remained unsatisfied. The combination of long-standing reliability concerns from the old generation and new problems with the redesigned model has kept buyers away from Nissan dealerships. Number 1. Nissan Titan 2016-2019. Taking the crown for the absolute worst truck that nobody wants to buy is the second-generation Nissan Titan. When Nissan launched the redesigned Titan in 2016, they set an ambitious goal of selling 100,000 units per year in the United States. They invested billions in development, built a new plant, and marketed it as a serious competitor to the Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, and Ram. When you're asking buyers to spend $50,000 or $60,000 on a truck, it has to be the best at something. The 5.6-liter V8 engine is generally solid, but the transmission has caused headaches. It's not just about reliability or features, it's about the total cost of ownership, and the Titan loses on every metric. Nissan keeps the Titan alive because walking away from the full-size truck market would be admitting defeat. The Titan is a cautionary tale about what happens when you enter a brutally competitive segment without a truly competitive product. So there you have it, 7 pickup trucks that buyers are actively avoiding, and for very good reasons. If this video saved you from making a costly mistake, hit that like button. It really does help the channel grow and reach more people who need this information. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos where we break down the best and worst vehicles on the market. Drop a comment and tell me, did I miss any trucks that deserve to be on this list? Or have you owned one of these and lived to tell the tale? I want to hear your stories. I'll see you in the next one.